Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Vance from Warframe God Builds, and today I'm joined by Blake because we're going to be discussing Absolver, which just dropped, and I've got first impressions on it. I played it for roughly around 5 to 6 hours, so I'm a little bit up to speed on how the game operates and my take on it. So I understand now that you have some questions to ask, just how the game
Yes, I
operates.
do. Yep, I've seen some gameplay on it, and it reminds me a lot of For Honor. I played a lot of For Honor. I love how it was just melee-oriented and how competitive it was. How closely related is Absolver to For Honor in terms of gameplay?
It's natural that people make that comparison because I think it's more to do with the perspective. The camera is placed, up over your left or right shoulder. I don't know whether or not you can alternate that. You can move the camera angle around. That's a given, but it's a like a lock-on tap targeting system, which is strange to see in a game like this. So when it comes to perspectives, it's really reminiscent of For Honor, but that's where the similarities stop altogether. Because this game is, although For Honor is a lot of countering and defending in one direction, Absolver's all about timing, and it's a lot about chaining combos together. I know For Honor does this as well, but you won't understand until you play it. It's totally different.
Okay.
Absolver, what it does is it has combat decks, and it's based off of 4 different orientations: your left upper, right upper, left lower, and right lower. And all 4 of these directions offer different combo tables. So based off of the direction that you're facing, you can string together combos, and some of the attacks end in different directions, meaning you can switch up your stances like right in the middle of a combo. And I haven't quite mastered that yet. That's where I'm gonna say that this game has a steep learning curve.
Okay. Well, that definitely makes it a lot more complex in For Honor, since For Honor only has 3 stances that you can switch into. You have the upper, the left, and the right.
Well, that's
about it.
primarily for defensive purposes, though. You can defend in any direction in Absolver. For me, it's really weird though, because I was playing last night, and I didn't record this gameplay. I really wish I would have, but I was getting my ass handed to me at the final sequence, the final boss battle, because it's a kind of like an early access game. I'll get into that later, but yeah, you may need to remind me to talk about that later. The fact that I feel like it's early access, but anyway. When I had my equipment on, like all my cosmetic stuff for looks, it seemed like I was getting my ass kicked so bad. And then when I stripped down naked, that's when I was much quicker, did more damage. I couldn't take as much damage, but it didn't matter because my counter was working properly. It's armor has something to do with it, which is it's a hindrance, I think.
So do you have customizable classes then, or do you just have one general character that you customize based off armor and skills and traits and
Okay,
abilities?
so first of all, you can make multiple characters. I'm not sure whether or not you have to acquire new moves, because I'm not progressed that far yet. I would imagine that you don't have to, like, once you've unlocked moves on one character, I'm sure they can carry over to another new character if you start over. But what happens here is, since I chose the School of Forsaken, which is the parry technique, I'm not satisfied with it. Like I said, when I have armor on, it feels like that parry window of opportunity is very slim. The more armor I wear, the more cosmetics I wear, it seems like the parry window gets smaller and smaller. So becoming naked essentially for the Forsaken is the way to go. The lighter armor, that's my general understanding of that. Now you get to a point later on in the game where you can actually switch schools, although I don't know how that's done yet. I'm definitely going to be doing that because Cult seems to be the most overpowered thing in the game right now. People can absorb, and when they absorb, they essentially act like Brawly from Dragon Ball Xenoverse. They just power through your attacks. Like, your attacks connect, but they keep attacking straight through it. And that, to me, is very annoying when you have, like, a gang of 5 NPCs that are ganging up on you, and they're all using Absorb. So like, even though you're connecting, you're not doing the proper amount of damage, and they're healing themselves from the attacks that they counter. So it's tedious, but it's because it has that high learning curve. It also makes it very satisfying when you do defeat a 5-on-1. Last thing I'm gonna add to switching schools, I know it's not related, is the main reason why you would want to switch schools is because your special ability isn't working, and that's the main reason I want to switch. But I'm gonna say right now that pairing would probably be working a lot better if I were wearing lighter clothing. I don't want to do that, so I want to look pretty. I'm all about looking pretty in games, so that's why I want to switch to Cult. So for new players coming into this experience, I would recommend just sticking it out with your class that you chose, if it's Forsaken or if it's the Windfall, because it's really easy to avoid. Like, there's friendly fire in this game, regardless of whether it's NPC or you. So when you get into these situations where it is a 5-on-1, all you got to do is really keep your enemies close together. Make sure, like, just keep your enemies close together, that way they accidentally attack each other. And that's how I get them to do my dirty work for me.
Nice. So it's almost, to sum up Absolver as a whole, it's almost like a healthy mix of Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse and For Honor put together. Because in Xenoverse you had trainers, and you could learn certain traits and abilities from those trainers, just like you have schools of learning in Absolver, and you can have certain traits and abilities from those schools. At the same time, the combat and the gameplay is reminiscent of For Honor's mechanics. What'd you say?
No, I would not compare it to For Honor. Having played it as much as I have, the loot drop system, you can get like one of 3 things. You can, I don't even think it's 3. You can get cosmetic items, and you can get moves. So the cosmetics, you get whatever people are wearing or whatever you find in like little rock piles. The second you touch them, they fall apart, and you get new clothes. It's very odd. They come in like little glowing orbs, and then the moves drop off of enemies, bosses. Basically how that works is you have to actually be attacked by someone who has the move that you're unaware of, and you have to guard against it or counter it an X amount of times. So the only way you get a hold of that move is if you guard against it or counter it. And when you counter against it, you get it much quicker than what you would if you were just blocking it. So, but of course, at that point, if you had unlocked the move, then you also have to defeat that person, because if you're fighting a boss and then you counter them enough to learn their move, but they still defeat you anyway, you lose all that progress. It's very, very unforgiving. Again, I just wouldn't compare it to For Honor. It feels universally different. I know there's a lot of people that are making comparisons, and from the outside looking in, it appears as though it's very, very similar to For Honor. And in some ways it is. Like, you can still push people off ledges and kill them that way. There's no jumping mechanic, although I wish there was. I wish there was some type of parkour system that would be
some kind of verticality to it.
Yeah. The levels feel, it's a shame, because the one thing that I wanted to carry over from For Honor to Absolver is that very linear, like King of the Hill style gameplay. For Honor reminds me of like a fighting MOBA, and I wish that Absolver had those modes I wish that you could go play King of the Hill in like a team-based PvP system, 4v4. That would be really nice. I wish there were, 2v2 duels. There's 1v1 duels. I haven't really tried the PvP. I've only done open world PvP. I've had about 6 fights with random encountered players. I've won 5 of them. The only one that I lost was due to the fact that I was being jumped by NPCs, so I had very low health when I encountered this player, and even then I still gave him a really good fight. I'm not as challenged by the actual players as I am the NPCs, surprisingly enough. So, I think there's a lot of things that need buff and nerf. I think that Cult may be in need of a significant nerf, while I feel as though my class, the Forsaken, needs a slight buff. That parry window of opportunity is just not big enough, and it's not responsive. I play on controller, so it feels like it's not responsive. Never mind the server issues. For the past since release, the servers have been just dog shit, to say the least. I've only been able to play with Garrett, although Duncan and Mark both have Absolver. So,
well, who's the publisher for the game?
Slow Clap or is it Slow Clap Studio?
Or,
there's there's Devolver, and then there's Slow Clap.
Okay.
They're
not a big.
No, this
publisher.
this is their first online game.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's why it feels like such early access. So should I get into the rant aspect of this game yet?
Yeah, but before you do that, you mentioned that there's loot in the game, right?
Yeah.
What a lot of games do with loot is that they kind of abuse you can earn that loot, or you can just whoop down $50 and get it all in one,
no cash
one sitting.
Shop. There's no cash.
Really good. No pay to win.
There's not a shop at all. Period.
There's hope for this game yet.
There's no shop. Very surprised. I'm sure it'll come later on. I kind of hope that it comes later on, because this game feels very bare. I'm just gonna dive right into my rant aspect of the game. So it's very satisfying to fight. When you fight, it feels really nice. If you're into fighters, if you like stuff like Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, you're gonna feel right at home here. But the issue with it is that there's no minimap. And you can get so lost so easy, because even though it's a free roam, it's like a path-based free roam, so you're limited. You can't just go anywhere and everywhere. You gotta run along a path, and it feels very tedious to try to go throughout the map and try to hunt down whatever you're hunting. Never mind the fact that once you beat it, you kind of lack purpose, so it feels very bare. On top of that, like I said, the server issues that you feel, I've not been able to play. I have 3 friends that have it. I've only been able to play with 1 since the launch of the game. That's ridiculous. The servers have been down that much. So I give them a little bit credit where credit is due, because this is their first online game. So I'm not going to be totally anal about that, but I do expect that to be addressed. That is ridiculous. That is an immediate problem, and they have not been responding to it as much as they should be. So on top of this, like I said, no cash shop. You feel like you lack purpose. You go around, you collect all the loot that's available in the early days of this game, and it has launched. This is a full game that has launched, but it does not feel like a full game. I know that people had talked shit. I know Angry Joe reviewed Evolve, and he talked about the lack of content. I would say that Absolver has 3 times as less content as Evolve, and this game is not. It doesn't say in early access. It doesn't say that on Steam. It legitimately launched. So on day 1, it should include so much more content than what it actually has, and it doesn't. So that's why I said it feels like an early access game. At this point in time, I don't feel like it's worth what I paid. I paid for the deluxe edition, which was $80-something, and I just got a fancy outfit, and my box that was supposed to come with a mask and an art book that hasn't even gotten here yet.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, they better go Warframe on that, because you know how Warframe started out where it was kind of bare bones, there wasn't a lot of content, but hey, it was free, right? Now look at Warframe. You get a shit
Yeah,
ton
but
more
Absolver isn't
content.
free. That's the
I know it's not free, and it's giving you the same amount of content Warframe gave you at the beginning,
I would
and
say
it's not
less.
free.
I would say less. It's I mean, it's a cheap like buy to play game. It's $30, which is reasonable, but even for the it's tough because I don't really normally review games. I was really hyped about this game because I feel like it has Exidium storytelling potential to it. The way that the developers like choreographed their cinematics, like their teasers, they looked really entertaining. I want to do that as a content creator. So if one of the developers happens to see this video, that's my only request in the future, is that they add some type of in-game camera mode that I can record fight scenes and hopefully take off my mask and show my actual face, show the characters talking, stuff like that. I feel like it would be excellent for content creators. But it's so early. It's hard to judge. It's hard to be. I don't want to bash this game because I like it. It's just it doesn't have the stuff. It does not have the type of meat and gravy that the mass is going to appeal. Like, it's not going to be appealing to the general census of people. They're going to be driven away by this game in amount of, it's not going to take you but 2 hours to get tired of it, maybe. So we'll just have to see.
Unless they come up with some mass updates, add more content, that's the only thing that's going to prolong this game's lifespan. And if they decide, no, we're going to tack on some, DLC, some dollar signs on that, then that's definitely going to deter people from who already paid for the bare bones game to pay for more content, which should have been there in the first place.
Yeah, I do. I think that they should have held off on launching it. Maybe. I have no idea why they would launch it so soon in the state that it's in. I'm not against Absolver. I like it. Feel like it's got a lot of potential. Am I going to be playing it in the future? Yeah, probably. But I'm looking at my Steam friends list now, and two of the guys who bought Absolver, they're already on other games. So, I mean, that's just a testament of how much content it lacks. Now I addressed the Exidium potential there. Do you want to talk about that for a minute before we closed out the video?
Yeah, I know Exidium has a lot of diverse characters that, require specifics when it comes to how they look. So how is Absolver's customizable appearance system with their characters? How is that going to correlate or tie into Exidium? Like, how are you going to be able to customize your character to actually look and appear and portray themselves like a character from Exidium?
Yes and no. Yes, because there is a lot of customization for the amount of content that it lacks. However, I haven't been able to see like color. There doesn't seem to be any color changes with any of the outfits.
No color palettes?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any color changes. Also, I'm not seeing a whole lot of clothes in general. It seems like there's like 3 or 4 main areas, and based off of those areas, you will encounter like marked ones and other rogue like peasants who haven't become Absolvers yet, and they basically drop the clothes that they're wearing. So you're kind of limited to what you see is what you get. But how I would avoid going that route with like Exidium-based content is I wouldn't even worry about it at all. If I were to tell an Exidium storyline, it would only be one storyline, and that would be the origin story of the Interfector. And I would not worry about the cosmetics because this would be an origin story. It would kind of be like, it'd be very, very relatable to Marvel's Iron Fist on Netflix. If anybody's watched that, or if anybody's familiar with how that show is operating, we're already into the Defenders, and Iron Fist still isn't wearing his iconic comic book costume, which is the route that I would take if I filmed like a machinima in Absolver. Is I wouldn't even worry about putting together the outfit on the character. It's more about progressing the character and the storyline for him. And I know you're familiar with that character because, we talked about this previously about how you said you would beat Thomas's ass. Like if we were to make like an Exidium fighting game,
Yeah.
you would beat Thomas's ass with who was it, Yoshiraitu or Sasori?
Yeah, so I would either play Yoshiraitu or Sasori, and Thomas loves Mantis Man. Loves the shit out of Mantis Man.
And Interfector.
And Interfector. Those two. Yeah, I said I'd kick his ass.
I'll probably just like provide pictures when I go to video edit this. I'll just put
probably at the end of this video the viewers will see, and then they'll make up their minds. They'll know the right decision.
It's basically like a Halo lookalike character versus a Ninja Gaiden lookalike character, or oh god, who does Mantis Man even look like?
Mantis Man, God, he looks like a mix of Iron Man and Batman if they were green, right? He's got the Batman cowl, and then he has the Iron Man-esque type of armor. Then he's green with the visor.
So, but that's what I would end up doing, is I would end up telling an Interfector story. The script for that, not really much of a script, nothing written, but me and Thomas had talked about it, and it's a story that focuses on him. I don't know what else to say. Like, it doesn't play a very big role within the Exidium universe. I had hoped to do that type of thing with Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, and that game actually ended up disappointing me too. So, who's to say that Absolver won't end up being the same way? I don't know. Only time will tell. I wish I had more to talk about, but it's. I feel like the developers have gotten off to a very, very slow start, and they critically, now more than ever, they critically need to be pushing out stuff. I don't know how much reserves.
Updates and content. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many reserves they put away for a rainy day, but I don't see this game getting over immediately. I feel like I know I'm aware of bad ratings already, so it doesn't look good. The only crowd that's going to stick with it are the type of people like myself who actually love the gameplay and find the gameplay to be addicting. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go back into Absolver, and I probably won't even like go the free roam route. I'll just start fighting people online. Maybe find there's one boss in particular. It's called the Stagger Style, and it's basically the Drunken Fist. So I'm probably gonna like grind him in order to acquire his moves. That way I can switch up cult styles with Forsaken and Windfall and Stagger. That way I can take it online and beat people's asses, school some noobs. I don't know. It's sad that I don't even know what to do the third day in.
Yeah, you've already expended all the content. For the viewers out there that don't know what the Drunken Fist is, by the way, if you ever watch one of Jackie Chan's early films,
it's self-explanatory.
You'll know what it is.
It's self-explanatory. It's a drunken fist. Like they wobble around and behave like they're drunk. I don't think it really needs any explanation. I'm looking forward to new styles being put in, like new quote-unquote classes. But again, it's just my hands are up in the air because I don't like. I want to rate this game personally. I want to rate this game like really high. I want to give it like a 4 out of 5 because it's a solid fighter. Like I've been craving like a free roam cooperative fighter all this time, but at the same time, it's lacking so much content. It makes the rant that I did about Xenoverse 2 look petty. So that's all I got for now. If you guys found this video to be enlightening, do as I always encourage you to do: like, share, subscribe, and until next time, this has been Vance and Blake signing out. Peace.